Are you in a pattern where you feel you're always giving more than you're receiving? You're the one initiating plans, initiating communication, showing up for others, and you don't feel that you get the same back? The likelihood is that you are overgiving or you are self-sacrificing because you feel like you need to. This comes from insecurity, but the good news is you can change it. In this video, we'll look at what you need to do to be prioritised, and particularly that you need to prioritise yourself for others to prioritise you. And the people who are prioritised are the selfish ones. Welcome to the YouTube channel for Catch. My name is Sam and I'm the founder here at Catch. Unshakable confidence is the key to getting everything that you want. So on this channel, we help you build that unshakable confidence and become the most unstoppable version of you. If you want to work with us in any way, including how to build your confidence at home, one-to-one coaching when that's available. All of that information is in the description box below. And we're also running a free to enter competition with prizes of up to £250. So why do you need to prioritise yourself to be prioritised? People can feel when you are prioritising them over you. And it's not just in your behaviours by overgiving or giving out of an empty cup, or self-sacrificing, it's also through your energy. So much of the communication between us as humans is energetic. We can just know and just sense things about people without having a rational reason to why, or being able to pinpoint specific things that have happened. And that's our intuition. And that applies to everything. So if you are stuck in a cycle of feeling unprioritized, not feeling chosen, not feeling good enough, and you are overgiving, others can feel that. And as we mentioned in the intro, where that comes from is insecurity. People who overgive and prioritize others above themselves, they feel like they have to because they wouldn't be liked, they wouldn't be accepted, they wouldn't feel chosen if they didn't self-sacrifice, if they didn't help their friends every time that they have an issue or every time they need to move house or do a chore or help them in a crisis. And even if they don't have the time themselves to look after themselves, or they believe that they're not good enough or worthy for the friendship or the relationship or the job unless they're boundaryless and give until they even burn themselves out. People can feel that insecurity and they can feel also that you're giving. And this isn't healthy for either party. It's not healthy for you, the person who may be overgiving if you clicked on this video. And it's not healthy for others that you're prioritizing because they may not have the level of respect that they want to have for you. They may not appreciate you and they may get used to that. And it causes them to push boundaries even more. So it's not healthy for either person in this dynamic, which is why it's so important to change it, not just for you, but also for your relationships and to allow the people in your life to show up for you and be the best version of themselves as well. Those who are prioritized, who always seem to get what they want, they put themselves first and they're almost a bit selfish because they know that they can't pour into others' cup without a full cup themselves. And also they believe that they're worthy of that treatment. They believe that they're worthy of being put first. They see themselves as the main character in their life. They want to make their life as enjoyable as possible. So they prioritize what they need to do to feel good and what aligns with their values. And that comes from a secure place, a confident place. They don't feel like they need approval from others. They don't feel like their value is in service. They feel it's just innate in who they are. And that's why they feel that they can prioritize themselves and put themselves first, because they'll always get the outcomes that they want, regardless of how much they're giving. And that draws people to them. So you'll see people who are prioritizing themselves getting prioritized by others and getting more opportunities and things coming their way because they have that inner confidence. So if you're someone who in the past has been a people pleaser, you've struggled with prioritizing yourself, putting yourself first, what does that look like? What are some things you can do? Well, the non-negotiable is to have a routine for your day, for your week, for your month. How do you look after yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, and keep yourself healthy in those ways? Whether that's an exercise routine, skincare, self-care, going to therapy, what are those things that make you feel good? Make sure that you have a routine about those and that those are non-negotiable. Now, of course, that doesn't mean don't have a life or socialize or be flexible when you want to. If you're going to look after yourself and prioritize yourself, you need to identify what makes you feel good and fulfilled. So not just good in the short-term pleasure way, but good in a way that you're investing in yourself, nourishing yourself, working on yourself, and carve out time in your calendar. Too many of us just sitting on Netflix every night, scrolling, and that's not good for our mental health, and it's making us feel worse. So identify the things that make you feel good, that invest in your health, and block that time out, non-negotiable. Secondly, set clear standards for the types of relationships and interactions that you want in your life. What is the absolute minimum standard that you're going to accept? And what are the boundaries that you want to put in place? If you're interested in learning more about boundaries, we did a separate video on that, so we'll link that down below. Put those boundaries in place about how you'll respond to different situations, and then get clear and write down what ideally would your relationships look like. And when we say relationship, we mean the broadest sense of the word. So relationship with work, relationship with friends, family, romantically, in dating. What do those relationships look like? Get clear on what you truly want, not just what you think is possible. Because as we said, not prioritizing yourself and overgiving comes from a place of insecurity. So it's often because people believe they can't get better or they don't deserve better subconsciously, so they act in that way. So what do you want your relationships to look like? And allow yourself to think about that and know that that's possible for you. And then start to shift your behavior towards those outcomes. So we've done several videos recently on how to shift your story and the narratives you tell about yourself and the world around you. We've got a video on how to build your beliefs and how beliefs are the core. We've got several other videos on your identity, so check those out if you need to build your beliefs and change your behaviors. But that's what you need to do. Start moving towards and becoming the version of yourself who has those types of relationships that you want. So that may mean, if you overgive, pulling back, doing less, communicating with those in your life that you know that you've been a people pleaser, you haven't been looking after yourself properly, and that you're going to start doing this routine, looking after yourself, and you'll no longer be available for X, Y, Z, but you are willing to do A, B, C instead. Or you may not even communicate it. If people haven't been appreciating your efforts, so it's not something you need to do and you've just been doing it, sometimes the best way to change the dynamic is just to take a step back and stop playing into that dynamic. You don't need to recognize that it happened before, just start acting in a new way. So if you're someone that overfunctions and ends up being the project manager for everybody in your life, then just stop doing it. Let people feel the absence. And put that energy that you would have put into other people into yourself. And finally, build self-awareness about what makes you feel good, what makes you feel confident, and what fills your cup. This will look different for everyone because what makes one person feel good will be different to the next person. For one person, it may be cooking from scratch. For others, it may be meditation, it may be doing sports. But what are those things that you come out of feeling really good about yourself? And this is separate to a routine. A routine is more about what you're doing on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And so these activities that make you feel good may become part of your routine. But this is more about understanding what are those things that make you feel loved, chosen, prioritized, and make sure that you're doing those. So for me, my non-negotiables are going to the gym several times a week and having my phone off during that time. I also make sure that I'm reading, and I read fiction because I love reading about psychology because it's so linked to my work, but it makes me think about work. So I've incorporated more fiction into my life. I make sure that I speak to certain members of my family every single day, even if it's just a 2-minute phone call. These are the things that are important to me and I value. So I make sure to incorporate them in my life. And it was easy previously when life was busy to let those things slide, but then I realised that I wasn't feeling good. And I wasn't filling my own cup, which then led me into some unhealthy dynamics. And it's also about individual actions. So before you take an action, doing something for someone, saying yes to that project, meeting someone at an inconvenient time for you, going to a restaurant you don't really like, ask yourself, what am I feeling and what outcome am I hoping to get from this? Because you can usually sense from your inner chatter or understand from your inner chatter what you're trying to get. So there is a big difference between meeting someone at a restaurant that you're not particularly a fan of at an inconvenient time because it's their birthday and therefore you want to prioritise them and you love them and you want them to have the best time, versus them suggesting a restaurant for you two to meet that's not a special occasion, it's just the two of you catching up, and you don't want to say that you don't like that restaurant because you don't want to upset them. That is coming from a place of wanting approval, prioritising their feelings over your feelings, and self-sacrificing for them when they might not even know you're doing that and they may not want you to do that. Or it may be that you're acting in a certain way, like giving. So you might be doing more chores around the house or giving lots of gifts because you're hoping those people will then reciprocate and give you gifts back. So you're not doing it out of the goodness of your heart, you're doing it to receive something back. At best, that is putting them above you. At worst, it can even be manipulative because you are doing something to get a certain reaction, and that reaction is to make you feel a certain way, so make you feel loved or appreciated or chosen or important. So you're going about how you're interacting with that situation to get a certain result. So build self-awareness about what fills your cup, make sure that you're incorporating those into your routine and making time for those things, as well as a general health routine. But also before you take certain actions, think about the incentive, think about what you're hoping to get. If you're doing it for approval or to get something, question whether to do it. If you're doing it because that's just who you are and you love to do it and it makes you feel good to do it, then do more of it. So you can see what we're trying to do is shift your energy towards yourself and the things that make you feel good. And once you identify what makes you feel good, you can advocate more for those things with yourself and with others. And for those of you who are people pleasers, this may be difficult at the start, but experiment and see how you get on and keep trying, because often you will be surprised at the reactions that you get. Because as we said at the start, a lot of this comes from fear and insecurity, but once we start prioritizing ourselves, respecting ourselves and putting ourselves first, others will pick up on that energy and will want to do the same. And people want to be around those who care about themselves and look after themselves, so it's a gift for them as well as it is for you. Now, saying all of that, it doesn't mean that you can through this process, you can become a rubbish person or a rubbish friend. If you've committed to be somewhere or it's important to them, still do those things. There's a fine line between prioritizing yourself and being so selfish that you're not good to the people in your life. So try and find that balance. Don't commit to something if you're not sure that you can make it, because that also comes from people pleasing. So make sure that if you're committing, you're doing it properly and you're assessing before you say yes or offer, rather than saying yes and then letting people down. So I hope that helped. If you have any questions or comments, maybe you've been on a journey prioritizing yourself, or you know others who are a bit ruthless in prioritizing themselves and how it's worked for them, please share those tips or your stories below, or any of your questions. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for liking, sharing, commenting and subscribing, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.